Beautiful morning. Another one here on Delaware. It's Thursday, May 25th. If you're keeping track at home, I'm Peter MacArthur. Job creation is still up, and it might be confusing to you as we hear rumors about still the chances of a recession. And would you expect job creation to still be up like it is? Let's get some perspective on this, but also we have a lot of graduates that are entering the full-time job market, they hope, for the first time. Well, we want to talk about that, too. Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing in Newark, joining us with some insight. First of all, Chris, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Peter. It's been a minute, and I love being on your show. Thanks for having me.
Oh, glad to have you. Glad to have you. You know, as I mentioned, we're looking at job creation, and I mean, last month, Chris, 250,000 new jobs. It doesn't sound like an economy in trouble, but what is important to know about jobs, say, in the next 3 to 6 months from your purview?
So first, the punchline. I suspect the good times will roll for jobs through the summer. We got the lowest unemployment since 1969, and I think that fact gets ignored. So if you're a job seeker or an employee, you're still in charge.
Yeah.
I just picture a potential cliff here on the near horizon, Pete, and all that's happening, I see, is that there is a normalizing and a getting back to kind of pre-pandemic patterns of work. The real driver of jobs has been small and mid-sized companies. That's businesses that are, say, 1,000 employees and below. It doesn't sound small, but compared to really big companies, it is.
Right.
Over half of all jobs have been mid-market companies. And guess what? They've seen a lot of talent available. Big companies have been laying off, or at the very least not hiring. So the cliff is who's going to do the hiring. And if it's not that small to mid-sized business, there could be a bit of a slowdown down the road.
Well, especially considering we've been putting together these jobs in nice numbers for about 3 years now. And so, yeah, I mean, all good things must come to an end, and our jobs picture certainly does not kind of break that mold. And so, yeah, there's a little reality check on the way. A lot of people either have graduated or are about to from college or high school, and they're looking to get into the jobs field. Let me ask you this, Chris. What is the job market looking like for grads right now?
I think I might be unpopular with parents today. The unemployment rate in February for a college grad was 4.6%. Double what it was in December of 2021, not that long ago. So new college grads could be hitting the market at the recent low point for folks that want that white-collar knowledge worker job.
Yeah.
And it's really confusing, Peter, because there's tons of jobs available, service jobs, etc. But, you know, the big companies were grabbing up most of the college grads. And here's a unique thing. College grads are going to be competing with recent college grads for the first time in 4 or 5 years. So it's going to be competitive, and it's not a perfect market for new grads. And they're going to have to work for it and submit more resumes, go on more interviews, maybe even compromise on their ideal job.
What about
just one quick crazy thing.
Please. Some
big firms are asking new hires to go back to school and are paying for it. That's a heck of a gap year, Peter, where they're signing talent up for a year from now.
Yeah, interesting. Well, what about some thoughts you might have on, and we've been hearing more and more about this, I sense, college, very expensive, huge proposition financially for people, and alternative paths. I mean, is college worth it to everybody? Some feel it's not at all. Others say, it's still the way to get ahead in this jobs market.
We are all programmed based on how we grow up, the influences of our friends and family and those things. And for the longest time, the way to get ahead was through a college degree. It showed up economically. It showed up in maybe getting what you want. There's a neat not-for-profit called Tear the Paper Ceiling. And it talks about the fact that many jobs, just based on habit, have a degree requirement that may not be required. And one of the leaders in this, believe it or not, is states and governments that have very high numbers of unfilled jobs that are looking at their degree requirement. So I think, those that follow an alternative path, I think there are plenty of careers. I have clients that if you are a welder, if you are in construction, if you can drive a piece of heavy equipment, you can start at probably $30,000 more than you could as a white-collar knowledge worker.
Yeah, very interesting. So, I mean, what should new grads maybe look for or be doing in their search right now, Chris?
So I had a thought. I have a long list of 9 points, probably too much to cover in this. I will send it to you. I will highlight some points, and I will even post it on social media to those that are so interested. But allow me to do a quick highlight of what should be done. You got to have a really strong resume that highlights your interns, your co-ops, your volunteerism. You're going to have to do a cover letter. Believe it or not, it's so competitive, they haven't been a requirement.
Yeah.
Now they're back. And you're going to have to hustle, network with friends and family, maybe take a job that's not your dream job. Just a reminder, your first job, what you learn you don't like is important about is what you do like. And I am this person. Go do a freelance gig contract job. 40% of the jobs are that anyway.
You mentioned this earlier on in our chat here this morning, the fact that, we're going to see job creation slowing down. We're already seeing layoffs start to rise, Chris. But let's talk a little bit about maybe some advice you have for people that are looking for work in this type of, pending, if not already existing, atmosphere.
Yeah. There's still 9 million jobs available. I can't even think about how many zeros that is. Unemployment is this ridiculously low number. In our lifetimes, it's never been this low. So it's still crazy robust compared to historical standards. But I think you have to have a degree of common sense if that's allowed with job hunting right now. Mm-hmm. You've got to almost pause and say, who is still hiring? Well, service businesses are hiring through the roof. Okay. Who is slowing down? Well, your Metas and your big tech are slowing down. Some construction. But we have customers that would take every skilled craftsman or accountant we could find. So I've said this on your show many times. We have to manage our own careers. Companies can't anymore. So you got to look ahead at your company. What are the trends in that industry? Is it recession-proof? You've probably been around long enough to know if it gets hit hard. How about your field and your job? For example, I don't know a company that doesn't need salespeople and accountants regardless of the economy. So you got to know your occupation, and you got to know your industry if it's very suspect to what's coming. And that helps a good bit. Yeah,
take stock of your surroundings because, again, you're your number one advocate. Whether you think others know best for you or not, that's really not the case. And it's your game plan. If you're an employer, Chris, you have some openings. How do you go about kind of approaching that situation?
Well, that playbook is consistent. If you're a good place, good talent wants to get to you, you're a good employer. So I think this is a really good time to get talent that wouldn't normally look at your business. For example, my business has hired a couple of recruiters from the industry that I don't think normally we would have talked to. But because there's some churn in hiring in general, if you're in a good spot right now and can hire, this is an environment where people are going to look around a little bit more aggressively. So I would say put your hiring sign out there if you can invest and want to afford it, because I do believe there's finally some opportunity to maybe meet people you wouldn't normally have access to as an employer.
Yeah, just so much stuff happening in the jobs market right now. It makes for a great talk, and I'm glad that we get a chance to do that now and again, Chris. And thank you for today's input. Much appreciated.
I appreciate it, Peter. Have a great day.
You as well. Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing in Newark. If you want to find out more about what it is they offer, you can go to myplacers.com and see perhaps they are a fit for you to help find your next career move.